Chalobah has been intercepted well by Edwards. Chelsea have got back quickly. Ugachukwu. Walker. Forced back over his own halfway line to Worrell, and now here is Estev. Humphreys. Hannibal brings it down well. Smart ball into the feet of Fleming, who clips it on for Jayden Anthony, who I think knew that he'd strayed into an offside position there as he chased down the loose ball. Gives it up as the assistant referee on the far side doesn't hesitate to raise his flag. Chelsea held the line well. It was Wesley Fofana who made his way forward from the furthest back position in order to make sure that Jayden Anthony was flagged by the assistant referee at the time the pass was made. Robert Sanchez takes the free kick short. Well, in fact, he doesn't. It looked like he had, but I think instead the referees insisted that the free kick be taken from a position further up the field. 10 yards isn't going to make all the difference at the edge of the Chelsea penalty area. Eventually it goes away by Robert Sanchez out to the left, looking for Pedro Neto, and now it's a battle between Lawrence and Gusto, which is won in the end by the Englishman. Manages to earn a throw-in. Convinced he should have had more there, shouting at the referee Lewis Smith. Not so easily swayed with regards to giving Burnley a free kick in that scenario. Here is Martin Dubravka, now the goalkeeper, following the throw. Now it's Estev on the left. Into the feet of Anthony, who turns and tries to create some separation between himself and Fofana. Finds a gap through the midfield, out to the right-hand side. It's Edwards looking for the early ball towards the run of Fleming. Closed down at source by Malo Gusto. Throw in for Burnley on the right-hand side, about 40 yards from goal. This is the first real lengthy passage of play where the ball hasn't primarily been sitting deep in the Burnley half. It's Kyle Walker to take the throw. Takes it backwards. It's launched into the danger area by Lawrence, over the top of everybody except Robert Sanchez, who watched it all the way into his gloves. Fairly unopposed there, the Spaniard. One of a handful of players Chelsea have purchased from Brighton and Hove Albion in recent seasons. Mark Cucurella not part of the matchday squad today. Robert Sanchez certainly. Moises Caicedo in the midfield for a club record fee at the time, one that eclipsed even that of the World Cup winner Enzo Fernandez. Clearance made by Sanchez now. James going up for the header to keep it going for Chelsea. Estev gets there first, but a little bit awkwardly, heading it down into his own penalty area and then making the emergency clearance because he had no real other option with Palmer and Pedro standing right behind him. Out for a throw taken by James to Fofana. Now here is Caicedo. Santos on the edge of the centre circle, now inside Burnley territory. Nice ball into the feet of Fernandez, right of centre. Further out to the right now for James. His delivery is deep and it's Palmer attacking it at the back post. Over the top of everybody. Nice idea from Reece James. He's put one or two intriguing crosses into the Burnley danger area in the opening 28 minutes of this game. Neto and Pedro and Palmer all making their presences felt into the box. Some smart defending by Josh Lawrence, just making sure that the jump was impeded somewhat for the Chelsea man. At the back post, he was unable to get his head on the ball, a bit too high for him in the end. Now Dubravka with the clearance down the left, nodded down by Santos, and a battle between Caicedo and Hannibal, which the latter wins. Walker back to his goalkeeper, Dubravka. Long it goes from the Slovakian shot stopper. Brought down by Fleming, who did ever so well to hold on to possession with Chalobah right behind him, dragging him down to the ground. The referee seeing something wrong with how handsy Trevor Chalobah was being there with the Dutch forward. And with Josh Lawrence unable to take advantage on the right. Lewis Smith brings back the ball for a Burnley free kick. about 15 yards inside the Chelsea half. It'll be taken by Jadon Anthony. He is the sole player standing over the top of this set piece for Burnley, which likely means we're going to see a delivery in towards the edge of the penalty area where Worrell and Esteve and Ugochukwu, Fleming, imposing players, are looking to make their presence felt. The Chelsea line stays rigid. The delivery is deep. Robert Sanchez comes out to command his area, and his bodies are flying all over the place around him. The Chelsea number 1 rises above them all to claim the ball. And the game is just halted briefly because Andre Santos went down a little heavier than the rest, it seemed. Ugochukwu was the man standing right behind him and potentially stepping on his toes as both players made their way into the Chelsea danger area. The game recommences with a Chelsea attempt to play the ball out of danger, which very nearly backfired. It was Hannibal Mejbri sliding in on Moises Caicedo, and the referee is now going to brandish the first yellow card of the afternoon. Hannibal Mejbri has his name taken for being a little too clumsy with that attempted interception there on the Ecuadorian. Short pass by Fofana. Hannibal thought he could get there. Caicedo got there first, and with the Tunisian having already committed, we knew that that would not end well for Moises Caicedo. Free kick coming Chelsea's way, about 5 yards outside of their own penalty area. They're going to have to make sure that whether or not a foul was committed on that occasion, they don't play hospital passes on the edge of their own box with Hannibal and Fleming, Jadon Anthony, Marcus Edwards, all keen to stick a leg out and make an interception in a position like that. Edwards does well to get the ball out from the middle to the right. Laurent. Walker. Ugochukwu. And all of a sudden, surrounded by 4 blue shirts, down goes Laurent, and the referee says nothing. Here come Chelsea. Palmer laid off to Caicedo on the halfway line. Caicedo forward down the right. James back to him on the edge of the centre circle, and a bit of a wayward ball to Andre Santos, who just about gets there ahead of Edwards and lays it off to Neto now. Makes his way central and finds his pocket picked by Ugochukwu. Switch by Edwards for the chase of Anthony. James and Fofana now getting there first. The Frenchman gives it back to his goalkeeper Robert Sanchez, who wastes little time in clearing it, but only to the halfway line where it's recovered by Maxime Esteve. Now here is Bashir Humphreys. Backwards to Joe Worrell. Walker. Poor ball towards Hannibal on the halfway line, intercepted well by Caicedo, who can spearhead the counter now. Trades passes with Neto out on the left hand side. Caicedo tried the back heel to Gusto, thought that the Frenchman had made the earlier run, proven to be wrong by a comfortable interception in the end for Walker. Half cleared for Burnley. Edwards to Hannibal, still inside their own half, managed to get it out to the right hand side. Lawrence into the feet of Jadon Anthony now, and here they come over the halfway line. Fleming, his first touch lets him down. Stood up well by Trevor Chalobah. As he was approaching the edge of the Chelsea penalty area on the right hand side. Lion Fleming stopped in his tracks. Burnley throw, which the referee is not happy with the position of initially. Hannibal on the halfway line. He's now driving forward right through the heart of the Chelsea midfield, and he's tripped by Fofana. Free kick, well spotted by Lewis Smith, and for the second time today he reaches into his pocket. Wesley Fofana has his name taken now, and there are a few complaints to be had from the Frenchman about that one. That final touch from Hannibal Mejbri just took the ball away from Fofana there, who had already committed to the challenge. Just slightly mistimed by the central defender. And now this is a very good opportunity indeed for Burnley to try and pull themselves level in this game. We're looking at a free kick 25 to 30 yards away, probably closer to the 25 mark. just about right of centre, favours a left footer. Marcus Edwards is standing over the top of it. Zion Fleming offering the right-footed option, with Kyle Walker bringing up the rear. Robert Sanchez barking orders at his Chelsea wall, which consists of at least 4 people: Reece James, Trevor Chalobah, João Pedro, Wesley Fofana. What exactly do Burnley have up their sleeve here? It's Edwards and Fleming left to discuss what comes next for the Clarets. No draft excluder needed apparently for Chelsea. Robert Sanchez takes a very central position in the middle of the goal as they await what will likely be an attempt from, more likely than not, Marcus Edwards, as Zion Fleming is demanding the referee have a word with the Chelsea wall, who looked as though they were trying to creep ever so slightly forward from where the magic spray had been laid on the turf. The referee's happy with the positioning. It's Edwards who takes, it's through the wall, and it's wide of the Chelsea post. Not the worst effort from Marcus Edwards. Had a clever idea just to try and find a gap in between Pedro and Chalobah, and he managed to do exactly that. Just a bit too much bend on the ball to always take it away from goal rather than creeping into the corner of Robert Sanchez's net. Now exactly how he pictured it as he ran up to it. It's another opportunity that Burnley did well to create for themselves. 10 minutes to go of this first half at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Burnley 0. João Pedro's goal on 4 minutes is the difference between these two teams, and they might be able to try and create something now as Pedro looks for the return off Cole Palmer following the long clearance by Robert Sanchez. Interception made after a poor first touch by João Pedro, and now here come Burnley down the right. Josh Lawrence barged in the back by Pedro Neto, and everybody inside Stamford Bridge seemed to see that one. Pedro Neto furious with the referee's blowing of the whistle there. Whether or not that's because he's been caught or whether or not that's because he doesn't genuinely believe he fouled Josh Lawrence is anybody's guess. The two adversaries have a quick word with one another. Water under the bridge. Free kick for Burnley, crossing position on the right hand side, allowing bodies to get into the penalty area again. Another set piece chance for Jadon Anthony to get the ball into the mixer. Hugo Chukwu and Bashir Humphreys have made their presences felt in front of the Chelsea line. It's short from Anthony to Walker. He'll be the one to supply the delivery. It's towards the back post. Estev going up for it, looks for the knockdown. Intercepted relatively comfortably by Trevor Chalobah, who launches it forward to Palmer, and he's going to get there in behind Estev now after a poor touch. It's Cole Palmer who took it on early. And it's an easy save in the end for Martin Dubravka for that opportunity there for Chelsea. You would really expect somebody as proven as Cole Palmer can be in front of goal to do better with that. Burnley get it away from danger now. You rejoin us at Stamford Bridge, where it remains Chelsea 1, Burnley 0. It is the João Pedro 4th minute goal that separates these two teams in what is the 108th competitive fixture between these two teams to take place here in West London. A reverse fixture that took place at Turf Moor up in Lancashire, ending 2-0 to Chelsea on the day. The opportunity is there for Chelsea to repeat the feat this afternoon. It was Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernandez who got the goals on that day when Chelsea were managed by Enzo Maresca. It is João Pedro who's got Liam Rosenior's team off on the right foot so far in this match, looking for what would be their 5th win in 7 games, with only 1 defeat in that time, none of which did not come in the Premier League for Chelsea. That was the EFL Cup semi-final loss to Arsenal. But their record under Liam Rosenior is impressive, including a dominant start in the FA Cup, a victory over Charlton, which they followed up with their most recent game, a 4-0 win against Championship side Hull City.
Of asking.
Burnley in the FA Cup last time out, losing 2-1 to Mansfield, a game that most of the fans that to their advantage before the half-time whistle goes, but we're on 42 minutes here and it remains 1-0. Chalobah to Palmer, inside the centre circle. Good ball, well spotted, out to the left-hand side, chased down by Pedro Neto. Walker stays with him. Crossing position now for Neto. Laid back off to Palmer, who's joined the Portuguese on the corner of the box and tries to force his way through a gap between Ugachukwu and Walker. The Burnley interception is good, but the clearance is not. Here is Neto. Fernandez, Ugachukwu behind him. Now it's Chalobah. Santos. Palmer on the left. He's got Gusto ahead of him. Neto to Gusto. And Neto continues his run down the flank. Gusto keeps possession for now and lays it off to Caicedo. Fofana. James. Into the centre again, Caicedo. Gets it down the left-hand side as Palmer now tries to find a gap. Stood up well by Kyle Walker, and again Burnley are able to get it half away. Kept going for Chelsea by Enzo Fernandez. And it's Neto who tries to get it into the corner. Not quite able to do so again. Chelsea not short of attacking options in this game. Palmer and Neto keen to test Martin Dubravka. It was the latter this time who was just unable to craft something that would force the goalkeeper into action. Burnley are going to get the ball away now. Here's Dubravka with the long kick, looking for Fleming, and the knockdown very nearly benefited Burnley in the most unusual way. There was a slip on hand for Enzo Fernandez, but Chelsea do keep hold of it now with Neto, and his touch is just too heavy. Maxim Estev sliding in, and Burnley recover the ball on the right hand side. Jadon Anthony, smart touch to escape Malo Gusto. He's got the pace to beat the Frenchman. The challenge is very well made indeed by Trevor Chalobah now on the corner of the Chelsea penalty area, sticking out a leg and getting the ball and not even touching the man. Picture perfect challenge from the English defender. James down the right hand side, lifted over the top of Ugochukwu by Neto, looking for Fernandez, nodded down by Worrell, recovered by James for Chelsea. 30 seconds of normal time to play at the end of this first half. There was the briefest of VAR checks on the Chelsea goal that was scored. Expecting 2 to 3 minutes of added time at the end of this first 45 minutes in West London. Here is Reece James over the halfway line. Is there enough time for Chelsea to double their advantage now? Neto. Fofana. In Burnley territory, back to Pedro Neto. Bashir Humphries tries to stand him up. Back to Fofana. Caicedo into the feet of Chalobah. Edwards stays close. Chalobah to Fernandez, who is back to the Burnley goal on the halfway line, goes all the way back to his own goalkeeper as the fourth official raises the electronic board. It will be 2 additional minutes, and Wesley Fofana wasting no time getting the ball back into the Burnley half. Fernandez, Gusto and Palmer and Pedro in front of him, dotted in between this Burnley line after line. James, Neto on the right hand side now. He's played the majority of the first half on the left. Looks as though he switched flanks as he lays it off to Fofana, who's keen to shoot from range. Decides against it in the end, laid off to Santos, and Caicedo looks to lift it over the top into the box, and neither of James or Neto were willing runners on that occasion. Burnley goal kick to come. Not much action left to be had in this first half at Stamford Bridge. The Rossini will be pleased, you have to imagine, with the way that his Chelsea team have performed so far in this game. They've been dominant without being domineering over this Burnley team. They've had plenty more of the ball, they've had more of the attacking opportunities, they've had more of the shots on goal. And the important thing is they've had more of the goals. But that last one maybe could be a bigger margin than it currently is. And the opportunities for Burnley, despite being few and far between, have mostly come from set pieces, which we're about to see again here for the Clarets. Ugochukwu, dragged down from behind by Andre Santos, right underneath the nose of the referee Lewis Smith. It'll be a free kick now from right of centre, 45, 50 yards or so away from the Chelsea goal. Opportunity for Ugochukwu, the man fouled, as well as Estev from the back, and Worrell and Fleming, the danger man up front for Burnley, to potentially get their head on something here. This will be the last attack of the half for either of these two teams. We're over 2 minutes of the additional 2 having been played. It's Hannibal's delivery, it's headed half away, and with Burnley recovering the ball and passing it backwards, the referee decides to call time on the first 45 minutes of this game. Well, Chelsea, probably deservedly, have the lead with the first half of this game now done. It was João Pedro's 11th Premier League goal of the season that he managed to smuggle over the goal line on a brilliant attack that was started by a Moises Caicedo through ball down the flank. Pedro Neto's first time ball across the face of goal was on a plate for Pedro, who did just about enough to see it in. Since then, Burnley have attempted to create opportunities for themselves. 1 or 2 set pieces that Chelsea have had to contend with. But overall, it has been mainly blue skies for the Blues. Half-time at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Burnley 0. Join us in 15 minutes or so for the second half of this live audio coverage. Good afternoon and welcome back to this live audio coverage of this Premier League game from Stamford Bridge. It is Chelsea 1, Burnley 0 as you join us for the second 45 minutes, which are imminent here in West London. My name's Jay Cooper and I'll be your commentator for the next 45 minutes or so to make sure that the action is called to you in a very listenable manner. Burnley coming onto the field now after their hosts Chelsea, who've taken a commanding position in this match. The 1-0 scoreline probably flatters Burnley because Chelsea have had much more of the ball and much more of the attacking opportunities in the first half. It was João Pedro who got the ball rolling on 4 minutes with his 11th Premier League goal of the season. This Burnley team are going to make a couple of substitutions in the half-time interval as we get ready for the commencement of the second 45 between these two sides. It is Burnley who get us kicked off in the claret and blue shirts, the white shorts and the blue socks from left to right. Chelsea in the blue shorts and shirt with the white socks going the other direction. As soon as the substitutions are 100% clear as to who has replaced who, I will make you aware. But for now, João Pedro is going to pounce onto a loose ball that's carelessly given away by Bashir Humphreys. Pedro to Palmer, who can't get the shot away. Sliding challenge well timed by Maxime Esteve, and Palmer goes down in a heap. The referee very quick to indicate that a penalty will not be awarded. In fact, it might well have been Joe Worrell, the centre-half, who slid in on Palmer there, and he had to get the timing right, and it looks as though he's managed it. It was a really poor misplaced pass by Bashir Humphreys, and Pedro at full sprint able to get there, taking a step this way and that, laying it off, and Palmer sliding in was Worrell. And actually the referee's decision may not be as clear-cut as I initially thought. The challenge is made by Joe Worrell, and it looks for all the world like he's able to deflect the ball against Cole Palmer's foot, and then the Englishman follows through with a kick and clatters into Joe Worrell. Palmer limping away from the penalty area, now defeated not only by the challenge made by the Burnley number 4, but also the referee's decision not to award an opportunity from 12 yards for the hosts of this game. As we await the recommencement of the action, it's worth mentioning that this is not the only 3 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League to take place this afternoon. Aston Villa and Leeds United and Brighton Hove Albion away at Brentford also taking place as of right now. Both games currently at half-time. It is Aston Villa 0, Leeds 1. A tremendous free kick from Stach for Leeds. And Brentford 0, Brighton 2 with Gomez and Welbeck on the score sheet at the G-Tech Community Stadium. These Burnley substitutions then, it's just the one to mention. It is Kyle Walker who has been replaced, and Lucas Pires has made his way onto the field in his stead, which suggests that Burnley are going to keep the 5-back formation that they started this game with. A like-for-like change between Walker and Pires, with Bashir Humphreys drifting over to the right, as a heavy touch is taken in the midfield area by Edwards. Chelsea are able to pounce and quickly move the ball into the attacking third. It's a deep delivery by Enzo Fernandez now from the right hand side. Pedro was the target. It's over the top of everybody after the half header away for Burnley made by Joe Worrell. Neto keeps it going for Chelsea, laid off to Malo Gusto, and now Andre Santos lays it across the halfway line after Chelsea are forced to retreat temporarily. Fofana. He and Hannibal Mejbri going toe-to-toe, both players having already been carded in the first half of this game. They'll need to take it easy. Andre Santos. Malo Gusto. Neto into the feet of Santos. Now Chalabar gets the return from his defensive partner Wesley Fofana. Now it's on the right hand side for Enzo Fernandez, looking to clip it into the middle. Both Palmer and Pedro were creeping towards the edge of the Burnley penalty area, but the interception is a strong one from Lucas Pires, getting his first touches of the ball since his introduction. Throwing coming for Burnley now on the left hand side after an attempted clearance down the flank made by Jadon Anthony, blasted right into the leg of Enzo Fernandez and straight out for a throw. On the edge of their defensive third, Burnley go backwards to their goalkeeper Martin Dubravka, who shows a bit of the ball to João Pedro before laying it off to Joe Worrell. Now here is Bashir Humphreys on the right hand side of the back four. Intercepting the ball forward is Malo Gusto, but his heavy touch lets him down. Bashir Humphreys does well to hold off the Frenchman and manages to win a free kick. The man in charge of this game, Lewis Smith, taking charge of his first Premier League game in the 2025-26 campaign. Joined on the VAR by Michael Salisbury. This Burnley free kick will be taken by the goalkeeper Martin Dubravka. It goes down the right wing to be headed back where it came from by Moises Caicedo, Chelsea's record signing. Arguably the very first name on every team sheet that, no matter who the Chelsea manager is, he should be putting out. Liam Rosenior making himself comfortable in the Chelsea dugout. Their record since his appointment is impressive. Started on the right foot with a domineering victory against Charlton Athletic in the FA Cup. Followed that up in the FA Cup last time out against Hull City, a 4-0 win. Games in between then include victories over the likes of West Ham and Wolves, teams that you would expect Chelsea to be sweeping aside in this Premier League campaign, but also against Napoli in the Champions League. Hard-fought away wins, 3-2. Only defeat in their last 6 games came in the EFL Cup against league leaders Arsenal, going for their first piece of silverware since 2021. Chelsea, reigning Club World Cup champions, have no such concerns about an empty trophy cabinet. Now they pinch the ball back in the attacking third. Palmer to Pedro into the box. João Pedro lifts it over the top of the bar via a deflection. The referee indicates that Chelsea have a corner now. Burnley with something to contend with. It's Dubravka's ball out to the left-hand side of his own defence. And a poor ball. I think it's Hannibal Mejbri who gives it away. He's operating temporarily in the left-back role. And as he tries to thread it down the line, he just gives it away to a player in blue. And between Palmer and Pedro, they managed to get it into the centre of the penalty area before the Brazilian shot is deflected away from goal by Bashir Humphreys. Now the corner goes short. It's Palmer. Chelsea going backwards now from the set-piece opportunity. It's James to Caicedo, back to Palmer. The heavy hitters have stayed forward for the Blues. James, that's clever. Nice back heel for the run of Gusto, who is barged into from behind. And the referee spotting the action very quickly there from Josh Laurent. Deciding it's not necessary to take the name of the Burnley number 29. You have to imagine that that will be a final warning there. It's an outstretched arm. He certainly can't play it off as a shoulder barge. Free kick for Chelsea. Crossing position on the left. A fraction in front of the edge of the penalty area were you to extend it right the way to the throw-in line. Reece James offers the in-swinging right-footed option. Pedro Neto the out-swinging left. Chalabar's in there. Fofana's in the middle, both centre-halves. João Pedro, the only goal scorer of this game so far. Neto will leave it for Reece James. The one-man wall of Marcus Edwards as the delivery goes in from James. It's over the top of everybody, and it's didn't look like the most comfortable of catches there for the goalkeeper Martin Dubravka, but I think the referee is going to demand a retake here. Right in the centre of the penalty area, Fofana and Fleming battling with one another. And apparently that has impeded the set-piece opportunity itself. Well, no foul is awarded either way. It's just that the original kick from James will be retaken. Well, if at first you don't succeed. In it goes again from the Chelsea captain, and again it's right on top of Martin Dubravka, who had to be alert. And he throws it out quickly, hoping to catch the Chelsea defence at 6s and 7s. Now they go down the left-hand side. Jadon Anthony sprinting all the way down the flank, looking for a crossing position from deep. He's been stood up well by Fofana, forced backwards. Here is Hannibal Mejbri. Chelsea now have the Burnley, excuse me, have the ball in the Chelsea half. The first extended period of this game, and that period may well end very soon because Jadon Anthony slipping as he took on a pass backwards to Hannibal, claiming that he's been fouled by Malo Gusto in the process. His claims fall on deaf ears to the referee Lewis Smith. Throw-in coming for Chelsea on the edge of the middle third in their half. James will take it as the second half creeps into its 10th minute. And the scoreline remains exactly what it was after 4 minutes of this game. Chelsea 1, Burnley 0. Gusto. Space to drive down the left. Neto. Back to Santos. Caicedo to Fofana. Santos again. Gusto again. Chelsea will take their time with this. Keep the ball moving and wait for an opportunity to present itself. Chalobah. Fofana on the halfway line. Now Burnley's only victory in their last 6 games in all competitions came in their most recent Premier League match, a 3-2 victory over Crystal Palace, a comeback win that they desperately needed as they battle relegation. Delivery from deep now from the right-hand side by Josh Laurent was well won by Zian Flemming. Looking to knock it down into the path of Marcus Edwards. Doesn't come off, and Chelsea have now turned defence into attack. Palmer getting to the edge of the box. Pedro Neto into the area, and sliding in to close it down was a combination of Joe Worrell and Maxime Esteve, who share a high five. Esteve being left in the dust by Cole Palmer briefly, who found Neto in space. That was a very end-to-end stretch of the game there, as Burnley's first opportunity. Deep delivery by Lawrence. The knockdown by Flemming was smart, but Fofana was in the way, and his long clearance gave Chelsea the opportunity to break. Neto wins the corner. James will take it, in swinging. He's got Gusto as a short option if he fancies. Up goes the arm, and in goes the delivery by Reece James. And it's knocked down into the centre of the box, and Gusto claims the ball with his hands because he's heard the referee's whistle, a foul committed on Zian Flemming of Burnley. Push in the back by Trevor Chalobah. The referee's view of the incident unimpeded. We're going to see the second Burnley change of the afternoon now as James Ward-Prowse gets ready to make his way onto the field. A starter in the most recent game that Burnley played in all competitions, that 2-1 defeat to Mansfield. Leslie Ugachukwu will make way. And any more set-piece opportunities that Burnley are to have in this game will likely come from the right boot of the Englishman, who has been brought on now for the final half an hour or more. As the clearance is made for the Burnley free kick. Zian Flemming was the target. Leslie Fofana got up higher than he did, only to land very uncomfortably indeed, rib first on top of the big Dutch forward. The game is just held up for a moment while the referee has a word with Flemming as to what just happened there. Presumably the same questions will be asked of Fofana. There's one man climbing on top of the other. It's Fofana who goes up, and Flemming just throws himself in the way of Wesley Fofana, impedes his ability to jump for the header. Naughty, naughty. Fofana is back to his feet, catches his breath, and the free kick is taken by Robert Sanchez, headed back where it came from for Burnley, only as far as Caicedo on the halfway line, and Pedro's heavy touch almost finds Neto, who didn't quite get there ahead of Humphreys, but the throw-in will now go Chelsea's way. João Pedro keen to take it quickly, but none of his teammates keen to aid him in that regard. Instead it's left to Malo Gusto and now Andres Santos. Here is Wesley Fofana now on the edge of the centre circle in the Chelsea half. Chalobah. Caicedo. Chalobah again. Gusto, first time on the turn on the halfway line, down to the left flank for Pedro Neto, who's going to drift inside. Neto does well to give it back to Gusto, who continued his run. Gusto across the face, and Palmer can't bring it under his control. Had he opted to take that on first time, It could well be 2-0 to Chelsea, but Palmer doesn't fancy himself with his right. He might though with his left now as he picks it up again on the right hand side of the edge of the box. Looking to cut inside, he's forced backwards, and a poor pass by Reece James. He's able to recover it on an interception. James to the edge of the box. Palmer now shooting position, laid off to Gusto, back to Palmer. They can't get the ball out of their feet in time, Chelsea. Palmer just about slips it out to James, tries to get it in behind to the runner Fernandez. Lucas Pires stands him up. Half clearance is picked up again by Reece James. Chelsea keep the pressure on. Andre Santos. Palmer, first time, looking for the feet of Pedro. Hannibal Mejbri gets in the way. Now he can come away on the counter-attack. João Pedro recovers, stands him up. Still no fouls committed as these two teams go back and forth. Gusto to Pedro. Now Neto, left-hand side of the area. Gusto again, crossing position. Back to Pedro Neto. He's got deeper now. Santos. Chelsea go out to the right. Fofana. James. Fernandez. James again. Keeping the ball moving as they have done throughout the entire game when it's been in their possession. Here is Andre Santos. Burnley are starting to reform the shape of their defence now as Chelsea slow things down. Santos to Caicedo. James back to Caicedo. Back to Chalobah. The gaps are being closed now by this Burnley midfield and back line. The delivery is James's. It's headed half away by Estev. Nodded down by Chalobah. Kept alive for Chelsea by Caicedo. Into the chest of Fernandez on the right. Now here is James again. Trades passes with Fernandez. Caicedo trades passes with James. Fofana. Chalobah. This attack is still going on. Chelsea are just taking their time recommencing it. Here is Pedro Neto. He's willing to drive down the flank. Shows a bit too much of the ball to Lawrence. Lays it off to Gusto. Now here is Santos. And again Chelsea are forced backwards. Chalobah switches out to the right hand side. Nobody can seem to get it into the danger area for Chelsea. And eventually it's headed down by Lucas Pires. And Anthony gets it back over the halfway line. And the Chelsea attack is considered to be dead now. And will have to start again. It felt like so much more could have come from that opportunity for Chelsea just a moment ago. One or two smart passes to get in behind the midfield and the retreating defence of Burnley. But nobody got into a good enough position to actually take a shot on goal. In the end, Martin Dubravka went unchallenged despite the prominence of the Chelsea players deep in the Burnley defensive third. Now here they are in their own defensive third with Chalobah laying it off to his goalkeeper Sanchez, whose first touch was questionable. Thankfully for him there was nobody anywhere near him to close him down. Clearance is made. Worrell knocks it down. Pires has his pocket picked comfortably enough by Reece James. Fernandez. Fofana to Caicedo. Santos. Neto. Gusto. Turns and finds Pedro Neto again. And Neto coming back from an offside position there. He strayed a little too far in front of the Burnley defence as Malo Gusto laid it off. I think he was hoping for the first time ball after starting that attack. Didn't quite get it, and that brief hesitation just allowed the Burnley defence to get in line and stop the Chelsea attack in its tracks without even having to make a challenge. Well, not only is João Pedro Chelsea's top goal scorer this season, he's also their joint top assist maker in the Premier League with 4 to his name. Pedro Neto, the goal scorer in the reverse fixture, one of the 2 goal scorers in the reverse fixture of this one, getting himself an assist this afternoon. Pedro and James remain unchallenged at the top of the tree in the assist table for Chelsea in the Premier League this season. Pedro alone unchallenged in the goal scoring department, seconded by Enzo Fernandez with 8. Burnley's top goal scorer record in the Premier League reads slightly differently. Jayden Anthony with 6, one of the goal scorers in the game against Crystal Palace. Zion Fleming with 5. Well, that's careless. Given away by Hannibal Mejbri in his own half, and Palmer does well to hold the ball away from the Tunisian, gets the return from Pedro, and that deflected ball is going to find its way back to João Pedro. He pulls it back to Neto. Neto goes down. The referee thinks about it. No penalty. Neto half away. Santos. Palmer. Quick feet to try and escape Worrell. Hannibal turns right into Caicedo. Chelsea keep it going. Well, that attacking opportunity came from very little indeed for Chelsea. Malo Gusto with a bit of space to run into in front of him. Approaching the corner of the box, 25 yards or so from goal. Now here is Neto on the left, crossing position. Gets the space on Bashir Humphreys and fizzes it across the face of goal. Lucas Pires at the back post is there. Chelsea corner to come. It feels like a corner's probably not good enough for that opportunity there that was presented to Chelsea. Poor ball by Hannibal Mejbri. Cut out by Palmer, who did ever so well to keep it going. Tried to slip it back through to Pedro, who got there on the byline, pulled it back to Neto. Neto tripped from behind by Laurent. Nothing in it, according to the referee Lewis Smith. Well, here comes Pedro Neto to take this corner for Chelsea. 20 minutes into the second half, 25 to go. Pedro Neto with an in-swinger from the right. Edge of the 6-yard area is the target zone, and it looked like that went out off a Burnley head, but the referee disagrees with what I saw. Seems as though João Pedro was the man that rose the highest. Dubravka slow to react to that one. Whether or not he was impeded is a different story entirely, but Pedro going up for that header with Joe Worrell, and it just bounces off the top of the Brazilian's head rather than being nodded down into the ground here at Stamford Bridge. Over the top of the crossbar it goes, and Martin Dubravka can breathe a sigh of relief after not quite commanding his area to the full extent of his abilities. As Worrell is tripped, Burnley try and come away with the ball, and it's James Ward-Prowse who will take this coming free kick for Burnley. Down the right hand side, taken quickly. The chase is on for Josh Laurent. Gets there. Malo Gusto gets there with him. The back heel is risky to Trevor Chalobah. Laurent can't get there. Away it goes by Chalobah. Flicked on by Pedro. Chested down well by Pedro Neto. Now it's out to Palmer. Looking to keep the attack going. His chest control lets him down ever so slightly. Esteve gets there and smashes it out for a throw. .67 minutes into this game at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 1, Burnley 0. Gusto. Neto. Good ball by Santos. Gusto tries to square it from the left-hand side of the penalty area. That was a fantastic pass by Andres Santos. Spotted the continued run of Malo Gusto when nobody else did. Certainly nobody in claret and blue had picked up the Frenchman, who did stay onside. Looking again to square it. Palmer, and Neto was arriving. Standing in his way was Bashir Humphreys. Another Chelsea corner. Coming from the left-hand side. With Reece James, the captain, with the taking of this set piece. Towards the near post. Chested away for Burnley. Brought under control of Marcus Edwards now, who goes this way and that and shows a bit too much of the ball to Palmer before dragging it away from him. And as both number 10s do battle on the halfway line, it's Palmer that comes out victorious. The play slows down as Chelsea thwart the Burnley counter. Fernandes. Fofana. James. Back out to the right hand side. Back into the middle with Andre Santos. Chelsea more than content to just take their time with the ball when they have it in this middle third. Caicedo and Andre Santos and Fofana. Almost said Caicedo again there, but perhaps that's just how many passes he's played in this game so far. But that pass from Andre Santos left something to be desired. Intercepted well by Ward-Prowse, only for a heavy touch to let him down. Chelsea get it back and now come down the left with Gusto, who had the overlap from Neto and ignored it. Square to Caicedo. Now out to the right hand side for James, who wanted the 1-2 with Fernandes but couldn't find it. Instead it's fizzed into the feet of Palmer from the right back position by Wesley Fofana. Palmer goes down with pressure mounting behind him. Furious he's not got a free kick, but the game continues now as Chelsea do win it back. It's Neto square from the left hand side. It's across the edge of the penalty area, kept alive by Reece James. Burnley getting players behind the ball now. Caicedo, edge of the box, urged to shoot, does shoot. Joe Worrell stands in his way. 17 minutes in, Caicedo going for goal from the right hand side of the penalty area. Kept it low, powerful drive. Joe Worrell saw it coming. Chelsea 1, Burnley 0. The score remains. João Pedro's goal, the difference between these two teams, and it's been the difference since the 4-minute mark. Despite Chelsea's repeated knocking on the door, Burnley have held strong, but they've not done much knocking of their own. Almost less in this second half than they did in the first. Delivery is deep. Worrell heads it right back out where it came from. Second consecutive corner to come for Chelsea. It's the left foot of Pedro Neto over the top of these crossing opportunities for the Blues. 20 minutes to go. Something has to give relatively soon or Chelsea may live to regret it. Another delivery by Neto. Headed away by Worrell again. Edge of the box. Kept alive by Palmer, who does well to trade passes with Gusto, but the interception is made, and as Anthony tries to spark the counter, he's had his pocket picked. Ward-Prowse keeps it going for Burnley. Pires almost bites off too much of the cherry, and as players scramble for the ball of both teams, eventually the foul is committed. The referee's brandished a red card for Wesley Fofana. Well, he was booked in the first half. Chelsea are going to go down to 10 here. And I'm not entirely sure the cameras caught what just happened between Fofana and whoever it was that he's committed the foul on. Well, it doesn't seem to have caught Fofana by surprise. He was late on James Ward-Prowse as Pires twisted and turned away from both himself and Palmer. And as Ward-Prowse gets there first to take it away from the outstretched boot of the Frenchman, Fofana goes in late. Goes over the top of Ward-Prowse's foot. And it's hard to argue that that challenge is not worthy of a yellow card. And having already been given one in the first half, the referee, Lewis Smith, felt he had no choice. Well, that does change things. Liam Rosenior frantically writing in his notebook on the touchline. James Ward-Prowse is going to be seen to by the medical staff here just to make sure that no damage was done with that stamping on the foot. Well, how about that? A red card for Chelsea, who have been so dominant in this game, and now perhaps that is a lifeline for Burnley. They have the man advantage with 18 minutes plus stoppages to play. Edwards. They're going to feel a bit rejuvenated now by this Burnley. Edwards looking to lift it over the top of the back line, which is a man shy at the moment. Fleming was a target. It's been nodded down by Santos. Back to Sanchez, who's more than happy to wait to be closed down before collecting the ball with both hands. Well, Caicedo has essentially operated as a third centre-half with Fofana and with Chalobah throughout this game. It's easy to imagine him slotting into the official centre-back role, partnering up with Trevor Chalobah. Oh, well, I'm about to stand corrected there because it looks as though Chelsea are going to make the tactical change regardless. And this is absolutely not a like for like because Cole Palmer is the man being replaced. And in his stead, we are going to see the introduction of Tosin Adarabioyo. Chelsea deciding to supplement their back line rather than stick to what they've already got on the field, or what they've got left on the field rather, following the second yellow card to Wesley Fofana. And Tosin Adarabioyo is raring to go. He is encouraging his teammate off the field. Well, we will still see how this game unfolds in its closing stages, because regardless of formational changes, Chelsea remain down to 10 men. Liam Rosenior, glasses on the end of his nose, barking orders at his Chelsea team as to how tactically they are going to have to play the remainder of this match very differently indeed. Burnley will be hungry for blood now that they have the man advantage. They will have to remember, though, that one of their own is on a yellow card, Hannibal Mejbri. He was the first man in this game to have his name taken by the referee, Lewis Smith. Second was Fofana, and we've seen what's happened to him. Here is Hannibal now, on the halfway line. Out to the left-hand side. Jadon Anthony, stood up by Pedro Neto. Back to Hannibal, back to Anthony. Hannibal again. Esteve to Ward-Prowse. Humphries lets it run on the right hand side into the feet of Josh Lawrence. Ward-Prowse back to Hannibal. Fleming holds it up and lays it off to Esteve on the left hand side of the, well, it would be a back four, but it consists of Hannibal Mejbri and James Ward-Prowse, so perhaps it's Esteve joining the midfield three for the moment. Ward-Prowse, very central, 40 yards from goal. Out to the right again, Bashir Humphries. Burnley almost taking a page out of the Chelsea playbook now and just keeping the ball moving and waiting for the gaps to form. And they are more likely to form now than they ever were before that red card to Fofana. Out to the left, Anthony, this way and that, showing the ball to James and taking it away from him. Now here is Hannibal, his delivery is a deep one. It's recovered at the back post by Anthony and laid off to Josh Lawrence, who can't connect with the half volley. That was a brilliant opportunity. That might be Burnley's best worked opportunity of the game on 77 minutes. The ball by Hannibal was right on the foot of Jadon Anthony, whose layoff was beautifully chipped up into the path of Josh Lawrence. He seems to kick the ball off one foot into the other. Well, here they come again, Burnley, on the right-hand side with Lawrence in behind to Edwards, who turns and strikes first time, claiming for the handball. I don't think he's going to get it. Of course, VAR is in effect. Michael Salisbury looking over this game. Josh Lawrence, Chelsea can't clear their lines. Across the edge of the 18-yard box. Recovered for Chelsea by Neto. Back to Reece James. Chelsea will want to slow things down now. Regain control of this game. Here is the goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, on the edge of his own 6-yard box. Blasted away from the danger area. Pedro Neto going for the header. Felt he was barged into from behind by Joe Worrell. The referee disagrees and the game continues with the ball at the feet of Worrell now for Burnley. Ward-Prowse into the middle third. Over the halfway line. Out to the left. Hannibal. In behind Pedro Neto. The chase is on for Jadon Anthony. Is he going to get there before it goes? No, not quite. Goal kick coming for the Blues as Jadon Anthony tumbles right the way in to the crowd at Stamford Bridge over the top of the advertising board. Thumbs up from Lucas Perez towards the fans. As another change is in the offing for Burnley now. Changing up their strategy. Once again, Josh Lawrence is replaced. Jacob Bruin-Larsen, starter in the 2-1 defeat to Mansfield, makes his way onto the field. Scott Parker has the gears in his head turning now. How best can Burnley take advantage of the man advantage? Fresh legs of the number 7 is a good way to go. Clearance made now by Robert Sanchez. Brought down comfortably by Worrell. Down the right hand side, here goes Humphries. Over the halfway line and further out to the wide areas with Jacob Bruin-Larsen getting his first touch. Now here is Edwards. Edwards from range. Edwards not able to connect in the way that he would have hoped. Plenty of power, plenty of height, and it might well have come down into the home end of Stamford Bridge with snow on it, that one from Marcus Edwards. And with a goal kick, here comes a double substitution in the offing now for Chelsea. We're going to see the introductions of Jarell Hato and Liam Delap. The number 9 being brought onto the field is a like for like, because João Pedro will be the man coming off. And it is also going to be the culmination of the duties for the evening for Malo Gusto. I'd call it a like-for-like substitution because it's one full back for another, but Gusto's been playing in defensive midfield and down the wing for 79 minutes of this game at Stamford Bridge, so what Jarell Hato's role in this game will be remains to be seen. Well, João Pedro, the goal scorer in this game, managing his 11th in the Premier League this season, is also to be replaced to something of a standing ovation from the majority inside of Stamford Bridge. And it'll be the summer signing, the number 9 from Ipswich Town, Liam Delap, Manchester City Youth Academy graduate, who comes on in his place for these final 10 minutes. Delap, another starter in that 4-0 victory over Hull City last time out. Of course, one of Liam Delap's old teams, where he cut his teeth really in the EFL Championship and proved that he did have the abilities to perform in the Premier League. Went on to further solidify that idea at Ipswich Town in their sole season in the Premier League following their promotion 2 years ago, as Burnley pinched the ball on the edge of the Chelsea defensive third. It was Jarell Hato who had his pocket picked, and Jacob Bruun-Larsen was trying to find somebody in space in the middle. Andre Santos goes down as if he's been clotheslined as he comes away down the left-hand side for Chelsea with the ball, right in front of his manager, who's urging the referee to hold up play for just a moment. Bashir Humphreys, the aggressor in that challenge. It's more of a reach and stop where you're going to Andre Santos. He's trying to hold off the Brazilian rather than clock him round the jaw, but judging from the way Andre Santos goes down, that might be disagreeable. Less than 10 minutes of normal time to go. Chelsea with the long clearance now from the free kick by Chalobah. Chested down by Delap into the feet of Bruun-Larsen for Burnley. Holding on to this 1-0 lead now a little bit more precariously than they were for the first 74 minutes of this game or so. Burnley revitalised by a red card to Chelsea's Wesley Fofana, but at the moment João Pedro's goal on 4 minutes is enough to separate these two teams, as Neto goes this way and that to escape the presence of Lucas Pires, and the same to get away from Esteve, and now he's into the penalty area looking for Delap. This is going to drop to the edge of the box for Caicedo, and he's blasted it wide. Not what he wanted there as the ball dropped to him on the edge of the box. There was a question before that attacking opportunity presented itself. It was a long ball over the top for Burnley by Bashir Humphreys for the run of Zion Fleming. Tosin Adarabioyo, who's had little to do since his introduction about 10 minutes ago, having bundled Fleming to the ground, with the Dutch forward claiming a free kick should have been awarded. The referee disagreeing. One more change to come for Burnley, or in fact 2 more changes to come for Burnley. Ashley Barnes is going to make his way onto the field. One target man striker to partner another in Zion Fleming. Jadon Anthony is replaced, as well as Bashir Humphreys making way for Loum Shauna on the right hand side of the back four, which Humphreys has been operating in that position since the half-time break, when Kyle Walker, who played the first 45 in that role, was substituted out for Lucas Pires. And now Hugo Shauna with the fresh legs down the right hand side. Stopped in his tracks well by Jarell Hato. Throw in to come for Burnley, taken by Jakob Bruun-Larsen. Ward-Prowse. On the right-hand side, Burnley retain possession now as Bruun-Larsen fizzes a teasing delivery in, and Sanchez gets something on it, but only sees it out to the edge of the box, which is where it's helped away from danger by Neto. Back in by Esteve. It's deep. It's Barnes who gets underneath it, and this is going to go out of play before anything else. In fact, whether or not it did go out was irrelevant in the end, because the assistant's flag on the near side is raised. It was a delivery from deep by Maxime Esteve. The one from Bruun-Larsen was much more tricky for Chelsea to handle. Robert Sanchez watching it all the way down and punching it out at full stretch. Had to make sure he got there before anybody in claret and blue. And the Spaniard did just about enough. He's going to get another chance to do exactly that. Get it away from his danger area now with 5 minutes to go, with this free kick following the Burnley offside. Here's a long punt from Fernandez, nodded on by Delap, chased down by Enzo Fernandez down the left-hand side, and Bruun-Larsen getting back and doing his defensive duties, reaches it first, stabs it out for a Chelsea throw in a promising attacking position now for the Blues on the left. Another goal would seal it now for Chelsea, even with the man disadvantage. Enzo Fernandez not keen on taking that throw in himself. He leaves it to Jarell Hato. Summer arrival from Ajax in the Eredivisie. It's Delap who brings it down on the corner of the box and fizzes it into the danger area, and honestly that's where you would expect to find Liam Delap rather than him being the one fizzing it across the face. Surprise, with the number 9 taking the cross, there was nobody to get on the end of it. Burnley get it away, right to the halfway line. Here is Edwards. Hannibal. Laid off to the left-hand side. Overlap after Pires tried to find Barnes. Toss in Adarabioyo gets in the way. And we're about to see a Burnley corner. The pressure remains on from the Clarets here, and they have some bigger bodies now in the Chelsea penalty area to cause some problems. Fleming and Barnes, and the delivery is to Esteve in the end. He's the one that gets up and reaches it at the expense of the comfort he was feeling inside the box. Sanchez able to come out and claim the looping header, and as he tries to blast it away for Chelsea, get it away quickly down the right hand side, there were no willing runners in Fernandez or Delap. Burnley are able to mop up, and they get it again out to the right hand side. Marcus Edwards going inside of Enzo Fernandez, who leaves one on the Englishman, tumbles down to the ground. Formerly of Sporting CP, who've made their presence felt in the Champions League this season, Marcus Edwards. Just about had the pace to get to the heavy touch that he took ahead of Enzo Fernandez. Well, with just over 2.5 minutes left of normal time in this game, Chelsea are going to make 2 more substitutions, their final 2 of the match, just to delay proceedings ever so slightly. Pedro Neto, who got the assist for the only goal of this match so far, will be replaced, as will the captain Reece James. The 2 right-sided substitutions for Chelsea. We're going to see the introductions of Josh Achimpong and Mamadou Sarr for the closing stretch of this match. 2 defensive players. They'll be more than happy to see out the 1-0 win at this stage, Chelsea. They've got a free kick to defend now, which will be the first course of action that will have to be taken by these 2 newly introduced players. The young English defender and the Senegalese stalwart. And it will be James Ward-Prowse, a set-piece expert if there ever was one, standing over the top of this opportunity for Burnley. Barnes and Shouna and Fleming all in the middle of the danger area for Ward-Prowse to aim at, and it's deep and it's headed just over the top. Ashley Barnes frustrated with himself that he couldn't keep that header down. It might not have mattered in the end because the assistant's flag on the near side has again been raised, once again against Ashley Barnes, who looks almost like he was pushed into an offside position there. Well, VAR would certainly have intervened if the Austrian international had been able to keep that under the crossbar. He will expect better of himself in that kind of area, Ashley Barnes. But over the top it goes. And Chelsea are spared for now. Well, the next course of action will be a Chelsea free kick from inside their own penalty area with 30 seconds of normal time to play of this game, as the referee just holds up play ever so briefly. And there is the free kick now, taken by Robert Sanchez, nodded down by Delap, brought under control by Barnes, who's acting as a deep-lying midfielder for a brief moment there to control play, as Ward-Prowse and Fernandez now get into a tangle, and Mejbri and Andre Santos are going to have crosswords, and Jarell Hato throws his 50p in the mix. Well, tension's building right at the end here at Stamford Bridge, as the fourth official's board goes up with the number 6 scrawled across it. Well, this game is not yet over. It was Fernandez and Ward-Prowse who had a little bit of a tangling of legs that will benefit Chelsea in a way, because it is their free kick, but that was immediately followed by some not very pleasant looking exchanges between Andre Santos and Hannibal Mejbri. Neither player caution. The game continues with the free kick for Enzo Fernandez. Liam Delap taking it out to the corner flag, and I think there's probably too much time left on the clock to worry about goal hanging for now. Fernandez happy to kick the ball against Mejbri and win the throw. And to Chelsea's credit, there goes a minute of the 6. But Burnley will know full well that they still have 5 to make the most of things. Hato, Fernandez, Brun Larsen standing with him. Fernandez back heeling the ball and managing to, or at least it looked for a moment like he had managed to bounce it away off a Burnley player. But everybody, including the referee, is quick to disagree with that idea. Well, somewhere in all this commotion there has been a yellow card awarded to Chelsea's goalkeeper. Perhaps that was for delaying the restart for a moment. I think that came just 2 minutes earlier. As Burnley come again down the right, it's laid off by Shauna. Looking for Brun Larsen, and Andre Santos slides in, and he gets the final touch to see the ball behind. Chelsea with a corner to defend. Andre Santos high fives all round for the Brazilian for his interception there, as Brun Larsen got into a dangerous crossing position, but the danger is not dealt with yet. Ward-Prowse with the outswinging corner coming from the right hand side. Burnley's 4th of the day. In goes a delivery. And it's headed in! What a brilliant header that is! Burnley have equalised on 93 minutes! It's Zion Fleming. That was spectacularly done. James Ward-Prowse fizzes the delivery into the danger area, and Fleming makes an unmarked run to the corner of the 6-yard box. A perfectly placed header brilliantly redirects the powerful cross and leaves Robert Sanchez clutching at thin air. The Clarets have silenced Stamford Bridge with 3 minutes of extra time to play at the end of this Premier League game. That was right off the training ground between Ward-Prowse and Fleming. An expert delivery from a player who has made a career out of set-piece opportunities. Chalk up the assist to Ward-Prowse. Pinpoint right on the head of the Dutchman, who gets his 6th in the Premier League this season, taking him level with Jadon Anthony in terms of Burnley's top goal scorers in the league this season. Nobody picks him up. He's about 6'2", 6'3", and nobody in blue follows the run of Zion Fleming. It's schoolboy defending from Liam Rosenior's team, but it's jubilation for Scott Parker. They may well have saved themselves a point at Stamford Bridge, which is something they've made a habit of recently in terms of dramatic draws against teams that you would expect them to lose to. Liverpool and Tottenham have felt the sting in recent weeks, and now Chelsea are on the cusp. Game is back underway. 2.5 minutes to go of extra time, and Burnley are going to get a free kick here after a bit of a scramble forward for Chelsea. Jarell Hato and Barnes, and now there's crosswords everywhere. Mejbry's involved. The referee has to get this game back under control. Well, the foul was committed on, I believe, Loum Shouna of Burnley. And Jarell Hato is going to see yellow for that one. There's just a little bit of afters following both men going for the same loose ball, and the afters culminates in Jarell Hato just flinging his arm backwards and trying to shrug off the French fullback and catching him in the face with his outstretched arm, which the referee can't ignore. Well, is there time for Burnley to get the ball forward one more time? This would be an unprecedented comeback victory if they're able to force something out of this. Here they come down the left. Pires able to find Edwards in the penalty area. Marcus Edwards is deflected wide. It's another corner for Chelsea to defend here. Edwards looks frustrated that he wasn't quite able to get that shot away as he would have liked. Lucas Pires did ever so well on the left to create space to square it, and again Edwards was virtually unmarked inside the penalty area. Well, James Ward-Prowse sent a tantalising delivery into the mixer 2 minutes ago. You have to imagine Chelsea will not make the mistake of leaving Zion Fleming unmarked this time around. But with less than a minute to play at Stamford Bridge, can Burnley snatch all 3 points from this corner? Ward-Prowse's delivery, and it's headed over the top. It was a powerful header indeed, right over the crossbar. Just not quite able to keep it low. Attacking it again, virtually unmarked. It wasn't Fleming, it was Jacob Bruun-Larsen, left to his own devices on the edge of the 6-yard box, and he just doesn't get enough of his forehead on the ball. He can't keep it down. It goes over the top, and that will be a sigh of relief around Stamford Bridge for that one. Sanchez with a clearance now as we tick into the 6th minute of stoppage time. Nodded down to Delap. He holds it up, lays it off to Fernandez. The referee lets it run now.